Tony Grossi just went off on Dylan Gabriel after Shedeur Sanders absolutely torched Browns practice today. Grossi said, "It's over. Shedeur looks like the real QB1. And when reporters asked Stefanski about it, his reaction? Pure panic. This Browns quarterback room just turned into a war zone.
Just take advantage of it.
Gabriel now looking over his shoulder. This week they're in Pittsburgh, but next week, when the Browns return home, first interception, first incompletion, there is a large contingent of Shedeur Sanders fans out there. Do you think that will affect Dylan Gabriel at all?
I don't think it'll affect him, but I think it will exist. Gabriel's probably a loser in this for that reason, because now Shedeur's right on his heels and his huge contingent of fans, but he doesn't seem affected by it. At least he didn't on the field. He played through it. But you're right. We're gonna hear chants for Shedeur as soon as he throws it, and he hasn't even thrown an interception.
Did a Cleveland Browns insider just call Dylan Gabriel a loser on live television? Yeah, you heard that right. Tony Grossi didn't hold back, and what he said about Shedeur Sanders is sending shockwaves through the entire organization. But here's where it gets crazy. Jeudy, one of the Browns' star receivers, is out here praising Shedeur like he's already the starter. Myles Garrett? He's watching Shedeur grind in the coach's office every single morning before anyone else even shows up. And Tony Grossi just dropped a bomb that's got Dylan Gabriel looking over his shoulder every single snap. The pressure? It's suffocating. The whispers? They're getting louder. And the Browns locker room? They've already made their choice.
Impressed you the most on how he's approached the game?
The time he takes, showing up early. Coach's office is easily seen when you walk in the building, and almost every morning you see him in there, talking through plays, talking through schemes with coach, and making sure that he's ready for his moment when he gets called up. And I appreciate that level of maturity and attention to detail.
So you guys just heard a lot of information right there.
All right, let's break this down because what's happening in Cleveland right now is absolutely wild. You've got a starting quarterback who was supposed to be the guy, the answer, the future. Dylan Gabriel came into this organization with expectations, right? But then the Browns drafted Shedeur Sanders, and everything changed overnight. And I'm not talking about some gradual shift. I'm talking about a full-blown earthquake that's shaking the foundation of this franchise.
Good job, just understanding the plays, doing whatever the coach asks for him, and he's been doing a great job of just, being a pro and, doing what he needed to do to be able to, once he get his chance to take advantage of that. So, that's all we can ask for him to do, once he.
Which once again is a whole nother conversation that's happening around NFL buildings about these people are declining opportunities to get in the NFL. Like, what are they? Like, you have those people that just live in NFL buildings. So him miming his answer about Dylan Gabriel becoming starter and him still being a third-string quarterback, hilarious response to somebody that's talking shit about you or to you, especially whenever they say, "I don't want to hear you."
Sure.
Like, that is
pretty clever.
That is a hilarious response. Like, I would like to say on the record, hysterical response. And people have said, "Hey, I don't want to hear the punter before," and I wish I would have thought of this idea. I would like to say that I wish that was the case. But much like everybody else has kind of reiterated, this is like a content creator type thing as opposed to maybe an NFL quarterback. Now, all he needs is one team to want him. Okay? So who cares if you piss off a bunch of decision makers with this? Who cares if you legitimize all the worries about you being a distraction or something not taking it serious, or do you want the best for the team? All that. There's people that are going to be able to spin that in NFL buildings that this is not good.
So here's what went down. Tony Grossi, the Browns insider who's been covering this team for years, went on air and said something that most people were thinking, but nobody had the guts to say out loud.
Room starts talking, then we'll start taking it serious. And then there was people that were saying Dylan Gabriel, I think these are Shedeur Sanders fans, saying that Dylan Gabriel took a shot at Shedeur Sanders. Listen to the entire, this is 51 seconds, and then he says like a very cliche almost answer about how people in professional sports have described getting their first start.
I think it's funny because, I got a text from a good buddy of mine, and he sent me a picture of a fire station, and like, it's kind of like, why are you sending that, But when he sends it, you know, he just lists the obvious, right? Like, doors are open, garage doors are open, like, things are ready to go, and like they're just waiting on that phone call to like respond surgically. And like, just what a great representation of like the job I had and being ready for that moment. And I think, you know, I smile because it's like a moment you prep for and you are extremely excited for, but also got to realize that it's extreme focus, and that's what I've continued to harp on. But
hell yeah,
you wait for the perfect time, you know, you're gonna wait a whole lifetime. So for me,
he straight up called Dylan Gabriel a loser in this situation because Shedeur Sanders is right on his heels. Let that sink in for a second. An insider, someone who knows the pulse of this organization, just told the world that the starting quarterback is already losing before he's even lost his job. That's insane, but it gets better, or worse, depending on how you look at it. Tony didn't stop there. He said, and I quote, "We're going to hear chants for Shedeur as soon as Dylan throws an incompletion, and he hasn't even thrown an interception yet." Bro, do you understand what that means? The fans are ready to turn on Dylan Gabriel. One bad throw, one miscommunication, one moment of hesitation, and the entire stadium is going to erupt calling for Shedeur Sanders. That's the kind of pressure that breaks quarterbacks. That's the kind of environment where careers crumble. Now, let's talk about why this is happening. Because it's not just Tony Grossi stirring the pot. This is coming from inside the building. Jeudy, the guy who's supposed to be catching passes from Dylan Gabriel, was asked about Shedeur Sanders, and listen to what he said. He talked about how Shedeur's been doing a great job understanding the plays, doing whatever the coaches ask, and being a pro. That might sound like generic praise, but read between the lines. When a starting receiver is hyping up the backup quarterback like that, it tells you everything you need to know about what's really going on in that locker room. And then there's Myles Garrett, the face of the franchise, the defensive anchor, the guy who doesn't waste time on politics or fake relationships. Myles said he sees Shedeur in the coach's office almost every morning, talking through plays, going over schemes, making sure he's ready for his moment. That's not just preparation. That's a guy who knows his time is coming. And when the best player on your team is publicly praising the work ethic of your backup quarterback, that's a message. That's the locker room telling management, we know who we want under center. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand about NFL locker rooms. The players always know before the coaches make it official. They see who's putting in the work. They see who's leading. They see who has that IT factor. And right now, every sign is pointing to Shedeur Sanders. You don't get Jeudy and Myles Garrett going out of their way to praise a backup unless they genuinely believe he's the guy. But let's address the elephant in the room. Dylan Gabriel isn't some scrub who stumbled into the NFL. He had a solid college career. He was supposed to be the bridge, maybe even the long-term answer. So what happened? How did we get here so fast? Simple. Shedeur Sanders happened. From the moment he walked into that building, everything changed. You've got a kid who grew up in the spotlight, who was coached by his father, a Hall of Famer, his entire life, who has championship DNA running through his veins. That's not something you can teach. That's not something you can fake. And here's where it gets really interesting. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, was asked about the quarterback situation, and he gave the most political, non-answer answer you've ever heard. He basically said he doesn't really know if Shedeur's the backup or not. But come on, bro. You're telling me the head coach of an NFL team doesn't know who his backup quarterback is? That's cap. That's him dodging the question, because he knows the second he names Shedeur as the official backup, the pressure on Dylan Gabriel multiplies by 1,000. The chants will start. The comparisons will intensify. And the countdown clock begins. But here's what Kevin Stefanski doesn't control. And this is crucial, Jimmy Haslam. The owner. The guy who signs the checks and makes the real decisions. And if the veterans want Shedeur, if the locker room wants Shedeur, if the fans want Shedeur, then guess what? Jimmy Haslam is going to give them Shedeur. Because at the end of the day, This is a business. And if the fans are chanting for your backup quarterback in Week 3, that's not a good look for anybody. Now let's talk about what happens next, because this is where it gets spicy. The Browns are heading to Pittsburgh this week. Tough environment, hostile crowd, physical defense. If Dylan Gabriel has a rough game, and I'm talking 2 interceptions, a fumble, or just an overall shaky performance, the calls for Shedeur are going to be deafening. But even if Dylan plays well, the pressure doesn't go away, because Tony Grossi already told us what's coming. The Browns return home next week, and there's a large contingent of Shedeur Sanders fans ready to make their voices heard. First incompletion, first mistake, and the stadium is going to explode. That's psychological warfare, man. That's a quarterback knowing that his own fans are rooting for him to fail so they can see the guy they really want. And for Dylan Gabriel, that's a nightmare scenario. He's not just competing with Shedeur Sanders on the practice field, he's competing with the idea of Shedeur Sanders. The hype, the potential, the belief that this kid is the real deal. And you know what makes this even crazier? Shedeur hasn't even taken a meaningful snap yet. He's been in meetings. He's been grinding film. He's been building relationships with the receivers and showing up early. But he hasn't had his moment on the field in a real game situation. Yet, somehow, he's already won over the locker room. That's star power. That's leadership. That's what separates good players from great players. Jeudy said, Shedeur's been doing what he needs to do to take advantage of his opportunity once he gets it. That's confidence. That's not if he gets his chance. It's when. Because everyone in that building knows it's coming. It's just a matter of time. And let's be real for a second. The Browns didn't draft Shedeur Sanders in the 2nd round to sit on the bench forever. They didn't bring him in to be a career backup. They brought him in because they believe he can be that guy. The franchise quarterback, the leader, the face of the organization. And every day that passes, every practice rep, every film session, he's proving them right. So here's where we're at. Dylan Gabriel is under immense pressure. The fans are ready to turn on him. The locker room is already backing Shedeur. The insider media is calling it like they see it. And Kevin Stefanski is trying to manage a powder keg that's about to explode. One bad game, one rough quarter, one moment where Dylan looks overwhelmed, and it's over. The Shedeur Sanders era begins. And honestly, maybe that's not the worst thing for the Browns. Because at the end of the day, you want the best player on the field. You want the guy who gives you the best chance to win. And if that's Shedeur Sanders, then so be it. The kid has put in the work. He's earned the respect of his teammates. He's ready for this moment. But here's the question that's driving Cleveland fans crazy right now. How long does Dylan Gabriel have? Is it 1 more game? 2 games? Half a season? Because the clock is ticking, and everyone can hear it. Tony Grossi can hear it. Jeudy can hear it. Myles Garrett can hear it. And you better believe Dylan Gabriel can hear it too. The whispers have turned into voices. The voices are about to turn into roars. And when that stadium starts chanting, "We want Shedeur," it's game over. The pressure will be too much. The narrative will be set. And the Browns will have no choice but to make the move that everyone saw coming from day one. So buckle up, because this quarterback controversy is just getting started. And if you thought it was dramatic now, just wait until the Browns come back home and those fans start making their voices heard. Dylan Gabriel better play the game of his life every single week, because Shedeur Sanders isn't going anywhere. He's right there, waiting, watching, preparing. And when his moment comes, and it will come, the entire NFL is going to see what Cleveland already knows. This kid is special. What do you think? Is Dylan Gabriel done in Cleveland? Or can he silence the doubters and hold off Shedeur Sanders? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this situation is about to get real interesting. If you thought the pressure on Dylan Gabriel was intense after everything we just broke down, wait until you hear what's really happening behind closed doors in Cleveland. Because while the media's focused on Tony Grossi's bombshell comments and the locker room praise for Shedeur, there's a deeper story unfolding, one that reveals exactly why this isn't just hype. This is a complete culture shift, and Dylan Gabriel is running out of time faster than anyone realizes. So let's pick up where we left off. We talked about the pressure, the comments, the chants that are coming. But now we need to dig into why everyone from Jeudy to Myles Garrett is going out of their way to praise Shedeur Sanders. Because this isn't just politics. This isn't veterans playing nice with the rookie. This is genuine respect earned through actions, and it's painting a picture that should have every Browns fan asking, is Shedeur Sanders already the leader of this offense, even from the backup spot? Myles Garrett dropped something that flew under the radar for a lot of people. But when you really break it down, it's massive. He said almost every morning when you walk into the building, you see Shedeur in the coach's office. Not once in a while, not when he feels like it, almost every morning. He's in there with the coaches, breaking down plays, going through schemes, preparing like he's starting on Sunday. That's not backup quarterback behavior. That's franchise quarterback behavior. And here's what makes that even more impressive. Shedeur doesn't have to do that. He's not the starter. He's not getting reps with the first team every day. He could show up, run the scout team, and go home. But that's not how Prime raised him. Deion Sanders taught his son that you earn your opportunity long before it's given to you. You don't wait for your moment. You prepare for it so that when it comes, you're ready. And that's exactly what Cleveland is seeing right now. Think about what Jeudy said for a second. He talked about Shedeur understanding the plays and doing whatever the coaches ask. But the key phrase was when he said Shedeur's doing what he needs to do so that once he gets his opportunity, he can take advantage of it. Not if he gets his opportunity. Once. That tells you everything about how the locker room sees this situation. They're not wondering if Shedeur's going to play. They're wondering when. And that when is getting closer every single day. Now let's connect this back to Dylan Gabriel's situation, because this is where it gets really brutal. Every time Jeudy praises Shedeur's work ethic, that's an indirect shot at Dylan. Every time Myles Garrett talks about Shedeur's preparation, that's raising the bar for what's expected from the starting quarterback. And every time Tony Grossi goes on air and says Dylan's a loser in this situation. That's the media giving voice to what the people inside the building are already thinking. Dylan Gabriel is trapped in an impossible cycle right now. He needs to play well to keep his job, but the standard for playing well keeps getting higher because everyone's comparing him to the potential of Shedeur Sanders. It's not just about completing passes or avoiding turnovers anymore. It's about leadership. It's about command. It's about making the players around you believe you're the guy. And right now, based on everything we're hearing, Shedeur's winning that battle without even taking a snap in a real game. Here's something else that's flying under the radar. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, gave that non-answer about not knowing if Shedeur's the official backup. But think about what that really means. He's avoiding the question because he knows what happens the second he makes it official. The countdown starts. The pressure on Dylan multiplies. The fan base starts getting restless. So he's trying to buy time, trying to manage the situation, trying to keep everyone calm. But you can't stop a freight train, bro. And Shedeur Sanders is a freight train coming down the tracks at full speed. Tony Grossi nailed it when he said, "We're going to hear chants for Shedeur as soon as Dylan throws an incompletion. And he hasn't even thrown an interception yet." That's the reality Dylan's facing. It's not about how many mistakes he makes. It's about the fact that any mistake is going to be the trigger for chaos. First bad throw in Cleveland's home stadium? The crowd erupts. First 3 and out when the offense looks stagnant? The "We want Shedeur" chants begin. And once that starts, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle. But here's where I'm going to defend Shedeur for a second. Because some people are going to say, This is all hype, all talk, all built on his last name. And yeah, being Deion Sanders' son opened doors. Yeah, the media attention follows him everywhere. But you know what? Shedeur's backing it up. He's not riding his dad's coattails. He's creating his own legacy through work, through preparation, through earning the respect of veterans who don't care about your name or your pedigree. They care about whether you're serious, whether you're committed, whether you're real. And Shedeur's proving every single day that he's all of those things. Jeudy doesn't waste time hyping up guys who don't deserve it. Garrett doesn't go out of his way to praise rookies unless they've truly impressed him. These are professionals who've been around the league long enough to spot BS from a mile away. And they're not seeing BS with Shedeur. They're seeing substance. They're seeing a kid who's mature beyond his years, who takes coaching, who studies the game like a veteran, who treats every rep like it matters. That's not hype. That's real. And here's the kicker. Shedeur's handling all of this with incredible poise. He's not out here campaigning for the starting job. He's not throwing shade at Dylan Gabriel. He's not creating drama or division. He's just showing up, doing his job, and letting his work speak for itself. That's leadership, man. That's the kind of guy you want as your quarterback. Because when the moment comes, when the pressure's at its highest, you know he's going to be ready. So let's talk about what happens next, because this is where the rubber meets the road. The Browns have a tough stretch coming up. If Dylan Gabriel plays well, if he leads the offense to wins, if he silences the doubters, then maybe he buys himself some breathing room. But if he struggles, if the offense looks stagnant, if he throws a couple picks or fumbles at a crucial moment, then it's over. Kevin Stefanski won't have a choice. Jimmy Haslam won't have a choice. The locker room has already made their choice, and the fans are about to make theirs loud and clear. Tony Grossi said Dylan's looking over his shoulder, and that's the perfect way to describe it, because Shedeur Sanders isn't just breathing down his neck. He's already got one foot in the starting spot. The only question is how long it takes for the other foot to follow. And here's the final thought I'll leave you with. Maybe this is exactly what Cleveland needs. Maybe Shedeur Sanders is the answer they've been searching for. Because everything we've seen, everything we've heard from the people who matter, the players, the insiders, the veterans, tells us this kid is special. He's got the talent. He's got the work ethic. He's got the leadership. He's got the IT factor. And when his moment comes, and trust me, it's coming sooner than you think, the entire NFL is going to see what Cleveland already knows. Shedeur Sanders is the real deal. So, what do you think? Is it time for the Browns to make the switch? Or should Dylan Gabriel get more time to prove himself? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. And if you made it this far, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications because this story is far from over. The quarterback controversy in Cleveland is just heating up, and you don't want to miss what happens next. Let's get it!